All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome back to Know Who Drives Return. I'm David Dropkin, joined by Joanna Macris. Today, we have John Sabes, who's the CEO of FOXO Technologies. FOXO is going public via SPAC, via Delwin's Acquisition Corp, in a deal that was announced towards the end of February. So, hey, John, congrats on announcing the deal. And, thanks so much for taking the time to talk to us today.
Thanks, David. Happy to be here. Good to see you, Joanna, and everyone else who's listening.
You have an interesting background and an awesome one. How about you give a bit of an introduction to yourself and who's John?
Who is John? Yeah, look, John's a serial entrepreneur. I'm a financial services guy at the end of the day. I think to bring some perspective on how do we get here, FOXO is well, we're integrating molecular biotechnology into the life insurance. That's a huge thing. We'll unbundle that hopefully in this podcast. But look, John, I like challenges. I like opportunities, and I like to be creative. And I think I found an incredible opportunity to modernize an industry for the benefit of the consumers who buy the products and ultimately for the industry. And so who's John? I mean, boy, we could spend multiple days on that, but I'm really happy to be here, and I'm super happy to be working on FOXO and talking to you all about it. So
awesome. And again, at the beginning, because we do love to focus on SPACs over here a little bit. Curious as to, why is now the right time, to become a public company, given where FOXO is in its life cycle, and B, were there, other routes that you considered in terms of, raising capital, just given SPACs right now aren't exactly as hot as they were, a year ago?
Yeah, look, great question. Boy, how to answer that? Is there ever a right time? I've been a public company CEO. We need to capitalize and want to capitalize this company heavily. And so far, I haven't been blessed by the gods of SoftBank or anyone else who says, "Here's $200 million, John, go after this big insurance guy." Okay, fine. My belief is we can explain our story and get it out there. And there are enough like-minded people who will kind of go, "Yeah, that makes sense. And I want to get behind that and support it." And it might not be the institutional investors historically who have done the SPACs and blah, blah, blah. But I think through, your podcast, and I really am grateful for that, and to get our message out there that enough people can say, that makes sense. And so I want to invest in this today while I can at the price I can, because, hopefully we're going to make that better.
Right. Totally seen others, utilize a similar strategy to, help get the story out there and be able to, tell a future story. So that's cool.
So you're an epigenetic longevity company. A, what the heck is that? And B, describe how you're using technology to disrupt the life insurance industry.
Sure. So my background, as you were trying to get out of me, I was working in and around the life insurance industry. And one of the things that we were focused on is how to predict how long people live, and that would drive returns, and that drives the life insurance industry. That's their primary thing in which they do. They underwrite to create value. And I just felt as though it was antiquated. There had to be a better way. I mean, you can do so much. I mean, with your phone, with your computer, and so I started challenging my team. I said, there's got to be better ways to understand human mortality and/or predict it. And so, not being a scientist myself, and really, taking ownership of that which I ask others to do, I started reading all the peer-reviewed articles I could on genetics, telomeres, and anything else that I could get my hands on around what is longevity science, meaning how do we help people live longer, and what's science doing about that? And the inverse is you learn what they die from. And I became aware of, I was on the cover story of Nature magazine. Steve Horvath out of UCLA was featured as the clock watcher and the science of epigenetics and the epigenetic clock. And by that point, I had read enough to understand that this thing was different. This thing called epigenetics was different. And that really led me on a journey to where really FOXO's primary goal is to commercialize epigenetic science for underwriting, where we believe we can bring a saliva-based underwriting solution to an industry that's really struggling in that aspect of its business.
So the insurance industry, to me, seems like an antiquated, a legacy industry. I guess like what's broken in terms of, the paradigm for underwriting life insurance, and how is it going to change, or how does it need to change?
Yeah. What's broken? Everything. Look, yes, you have. It's large. It's huge. It's so big. David, I'm looking through your window and I see huge buildings behind you in New York City. And these are some of the largest, oldest companies in the world. And they have legacy technology and frankly, some legacy thinking. Really what we've been focused on is how to make life insurance easier to purchase. How do we alleviate the consumer underwriting journey? Agents sell the majority of life insurance in the United States of America. 89% of all life insurance premiums are sold by life insurance agents. 49% are sold by independent agents. And again, that's where I was working in distribution of financial products. And these agents who sell the bulk of the product are struggling. And when I came across this science of epigenetics, I was just ignorant enough to think that it actually might work for underwriting. This epigenetic clock, let alone did I know that epigenetics could determine if someone uses tobacco or not. The same thing that after you answer, are you a male or female, they ask you, do you smoke or not? And then I learned that the science of epigenetics predicted whether or not could measure tobacco use. And so I was just ignorant enough to think that this science could be used through saliva to eliminate the necessity of blood and urine and make the business of selling life insurance easier for the professionals who sell the bulk of the product.
Yeah. So what kind of information now can we derive from saliva-based testing? What are we going to learn?
Yeah, so again, this science of epigenetics is measuring gene expression. So we're all born with a genetic code. We get half from mom and half from dad, and that's it. That's our instructions for life. You might think of it as your sheet music, but how that instrument is played and orchestrated, that's gene expression. How do you express the sheet music? And that's the science of epigenetics. And gene expression is driven, not surprisingly, by and large, by a lot of the decisions we make along our life. Do we smoke or not? Do we exercise or not? The example is two genetically identical twins. One smokes, one exercises, and you will see markedly different health outcomes around that. So it's a basic science of gene expression. There are chemical tags called methylation that attach along this thing called the epigenome, the epidermis of the genome. And we measure these chemical tags to indicate if someone smokes or not. And so we're looking at the very same things that underwriting looks at today. We're just using an electron microscope versus a microscope that you used in 7th grade, biology. And so we're looking much deeper at molecular biology to measure the very same things that traditional life insurance companies use today with blood and urine and clinical, what we call clinical conventional assays.
Yeah. So a lot of companies have claimed to kind of revolutionize the insurance industry through AI and data analytics. And we've seen a lot of, high profile IPOs that have since kind of soured. So is the challenge in proving the ROI to the insurance company? I guess like what went wrong, or what's changing, and how are you uniquely positioned now in this space?
Yeah, great question. Well, a lot of these companies, first of all, went out at huge valuations out of the box, right? So they did deals at $1 billion and told everyone they're going to grow to 12 billion, or they went out at 3 billion. And, that's a much different fact pattern than going out at, say, 300 million and saying, we think we can become $1 billion company, or 2 billion, or a $12 billion company. So that's number one, why I think the market has recognized, like, wait. The other thing is that, and I don't want to name names, but, look, I think for the most part, the things that I've seen were kind of like marginally interesting plays on insurance. It's just like, it just wasn't that novel. And I've been sitting here on the sidelines going, wait. We're talking about we FOXO are talking about the life insurance industry, the biggest of them all, not P&C, not even a subset of P&C, i.e. renters insurance. Sorry, folks. I'm talking about traditional life insurance, the granddaddy of them all. And I'm talking about reinventing or re-energizing that business with molecular biotechnology. And if you think about FOXO, FOXO is a proposition bet for the investor. Will molecular biotechnology, properly integrated and intersecting into the life insurance industry, improve it or not? If it's going to improve it, if you think that's a possibility, then we're your bet. And what I like to say is we're going to the heart of the industry, the very essence and the core of the industry, where most everything I've seen, my view, has been sort of on the periphery. It's been digitizing and online and this and that. It's like marginal. We're going to the absolute heart of the engine, so to speak, of saying, hey, we think there's a better value proposition for consumers and life insurance with molecular biotechnology. And we think there's a way to solve a critical, I think the industry calls it, the biggest pain point in the industry. They called it the biggest pain point, which is the customer underwriting journey. It takes 52 days on average. Insurance agents lose 30% of their sales in the process. No wonder no one wants to sell life insurance anymore. It's horrible. And I've been in front of lots and lots of agents saying, what's the problem? And they've said, this is the issue. And what I like to say is FOXO is being built by agents for agents. We're solving the pain points that fall on distribution on the agents that sell the bulk of the product. And these agents are independent. And so they have freedom to choose which products they want to sell.
Yeah. So why don't life insurance companies start either acquiring data analytics pieces and trying to do this component themselves? I'm just curious as to why that gap hasn't been filled.
Yeah, well, they are. I mean, they are acquiring data analytics and they're using AI and they're doing all of these things. And look, it's not a newsflash that the direct-to-consumer genetic industry has arrived. I mean, 23andMe, has been out there for what now, 6, 7, 8 years, and yet, I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why they've given us FOXO this huge, massive opportunity. It's because we are touching something that's called genetics. Now, whether that's epigenetics or genetics, but we are touching something that people, frankly, in the industry are they're interested in it, but they're afraid of it. And my position has been, this isn't something to be afraid of. This is something to embrace. And it might not be for everyone. And there'll be plenty of carriers who will give consumers other options. But there's a whole bunch of us that we believe that by embracing molecular biotechnology into the life insurance, we can reinvent it, we can reinvigorate it, we can make it easier and more accessible for consumers to buy and easier for agents to sell. And so that's kind of the big thing that I think FOXO is up to relative to our play and insurance and investment versus, I'd say, others.
Mm. And I mean, this is kind of a simple question, but why can't I, as a competitor to FOXO, go hook up with Illumina and get some, data analytics and try to do the same thing? Like, what's the moat here, and what's
yeah, that's so. There's a great book called Innovation Stack by McLevy, who's co-founder of Square with Dorsey. Look, FOXO's got an innovation stack that is really strong, and that creates a big moat. Look, we use Illumina's technology. That's like saying I use a Dell computer. I mean, that's just an input. And we use that technology. And the point of Illumina, of mentioning Illumina and microarray technology, is that that's very stable. It's very affordable. And it's really it's creating this opportunity. So we use off the shelf, so to speak, technology to create proprietary epigenetic biomarkers. And that is our secret sauce. That is our moat on how do we create individually predictive epigenetic biomarkers that can tell the insurance carrier trying to underwrite you, do you smoke or not? Were you a former smoker or were you a never smoker? Okay. Those are questions that the industry cannot answer at this time. And so we're really employing very mature technology to create proprietary epigenetic biomarkers for the purpose. And you need to do proprietary research and studies and work to create these biomarkers. They are not off the shelf.
Yeah. So there's two pieces to the company story. There's the B2B and the B2C. So, there's selling saliva-based underwriting as a service, and then there's becoming a life insurance company yourselves. Talk to us about the two pieces and kind of where you are on the path toward each.
Sure. So our goal has always been to be a B2B company. Our goal has always been to sell to the industry, both domestically and globally. Remember that the global life insurance makes up about another 2/3 of the life insurance market, and all of those products are mortality-based products. So our goal has been to be a B2B selling company selling underwriting services technology based upon epigenetic biomarkers. How do you get there? How do you do that? And so to do that, we've been at it for a while. We've taken a lot of meetings with a lot of insurance companies. And finally, I was just fed up. I'm like, I'm done. I can't take this anymore. My life is too short. I'm too excited about the opportunity. And in many ways, I want to build my Tesla. I want to show the industry what an electric car really looks like, because the best case scenario is I'm going to end up with a Volt over there. And so I'm building a Tesla. FOXO Life is a Tesla. We're going to show what an electric car really looks like. And we think that once people drive and agents test drive the electric car, they're going to want, the rest of the industry are going to want our battery technology. And so again, that's been our goal. So we're working our way backwards. We bought a little shell company. We're going to build our little Tesla. It actually allows us to build our operational capabilities to service General Motors, to stay on the analogy. So we have to build all of this infrastructure to service, to be this B2B service. So it's actually enabled us to get the machine built and running. We think we're going to quickly expand that into what's called a managing general agency relationship. So we don't really think our proprietary insurance company is going to be a big thing. I've never had any interest or desire to build a 50-state primary carrier. I'm like, and there are plenty of folks who do that real well. So what we want to do is partner with them and sell those products, FOXOize those products, and work with agents directly. And again, that's where I had experience, and I've done this before, where we work with agents to talk about healthy longevity. This is a new reason to buy life insurance. Life insurance designed to keep you alive. We've trademarked it. We're molecular health and wellness, and that's part of our consumer engagement platform, not only underwriting, but also consumer engagement, where we can build this into a product, show agents how to talk about healthy longevity, not just investing and mortality protection, but the product itself can add more value to the consumers you're trying to serve, and get this whole machine going so that the industry start to go, oh, those are pretty cool electric cars. A lot of people want electric cars. Maybe we should do electric cars. Well, the easiest way to build your own electric car is to call us. We'll be here. We're open for business. And we will sell you. You got your chassis. It's a chassis. It's a UL. It's a whole life. It's a term chassis. And we will equip your chassis with electrification, which is molecular health and wellness and underwriting technology that will reinvent and reinvigorate your own products.
So you're going to hopefully come out and be a public company, knock on wood. You're going to have some capital. What are you going to do? And kind of where do you see the growth trajectory and where you're going to put your muscle over the next 12 months?
Yeah, we're going to become a public company in this summer. So stay tuned. We're closing. And we're putting our muscle right now into really building out. We're finishing out all of our build outs that are well underway, and preparing to launch our Tesla, our FOXO Life little product. And we're building distribution. So right now we're focused on this idea of distribution and agents. And so we're getting back out into the field, talking with the major life insurance distribution points of the industry, where we know that the products and services that we're creating fit their needs. And then we're talking to our MGA partners as well, because this announcement has created suddenly this momentum that says, oh my God, this thing's going to happen. What does this mean? They can't stop us anymore. And so this gets really exciting. And so we want to build on that momentum and get into the market and get this thing that we've dreamed up into the hands of the agents and consumers. And we think the rest will be history.
On that and the excitement and the closing, do you think that you're going to do any incremental financing ahead of the closing. I mean, just call it what it is. The way the SPAC market again has been operating is you can't stand to assume that you're going to receive, the full trust that of the SPAC that you're merging with. So do you feel comfortable about the company's capitalization, going into the closing process later this year?
Yeah, great question, David. It certainly is it's a new day, so to speak. And in working with SPACs, I think the good news is that again, my background, I have a law degree from the University of Minnesota. I've been working in finance my whole career, started it at Jeffries and Company in New York. And so, yeah, I think, look, I'm open-minded and I'm going to stay open-minded. And I think that you have to view SPACs really as, reverse merging into a clean New York Stock Exchange shell. We put zero capital requirements on the closing of this transaction. So we're going to close. We raised $22.5 million as part of the announcement. We've got a facility, $40 million equity facility provided by Cantor as part of the close. And I think, we'll probably do some financing as we move through the close. And that will then lead to the continued growth and momentum that I'm talking about.
Right.
So this announcement has created suddenly this moment where the industry, they've been hearing from me for a while, but suddenly they're like, oh, wow, this is happening.
Right.
And so the rest of the world can start to now pay attention and hopefully get on board with us as we get towards that close.
Right. And you mentioned it earlier, but in speaking to several companies who are going public for they don't have public company CEO experience as you do, right? So you've been in the seat, you've dealt with public investors. What lessons are you going to bring from your previous experience into this seemingly much different one right now?
Well, I always want to grow as a professional, and I always want to take the lessons and the experience that I've gained and apply it. So how are you going to do it differently? I'm going to keep being as radically transparent and open and honest and available as I can, and work as diligently as I can to create the business. I can see I've grown as a professional. I mean, I love my teams I've worked with in the past, but I'll tell you that the team I am working with, and it almost goes back to some of the questions, Joanne, that you were pending. This team I've assembled, which is multidisciplinary, is incredible. So I can see the benefit of me growing as a professional. This team that's behind me is really building out this company in ways in which frankly, I could have never imagined, which frees me up to be a better CEO, ultimately to do the things that I should do as a CEO.
And then I guess, on a personal level, any Ironmans in your future?
Ultra distance sports can teach you a lot as a CEO and as an entrepreneur. You don't necessarily know how you're going to get there, but some way you figure out a way to get there, and that's in any ultra event, Ironmans or otherwise. I'm going to do the snowman race in Bhutan, which is an ultra run event this fall. So that would be the thing on my finally getting back to some ultra experience other than work. And by the way, maybe David, you'll appreciate this. I call FOXO, this is my Everest. I'm never going to climb Mount Everest, I don't have, but this is my Everest, and I love it. I love the challenge of climbing this mountain. It's dangerous. There's a lot of uncertainty on how it unfolds, but boy, it's really exciting. It's big. It's a challenging opportunity, and it's going to be exciting to get to the summit.
If you're running super marathons in the snow, something tells me you can join the right group and summit Everest.
Well,
Joanna, do you have?
I'm just curious, because you have gathered so much information. I mean, what are some of the biggest revelations that you've learned from just a personal health and longevity perspective? I feel like you'd have a lot of insights on how we should live our lives better.
The secret sauce of longevity.
Right.
I'll tell you, learning that genetics isn't, even every day I look a little bit more and sound a little bit more like my father. But knowing about epigenetics and gene expression, recognizing some of the things I learned in 7th grade biology, that same copy of the DNA that I received from mom and dad is in I think we're about 20 trillion cells right now, or is in every single cell. In fact, if you strung that DNA together, you'd go to the moon, the Earth and moon back many, many, many times. Learning just how we as humans are and the biology and how it all works has just been such a great and rewarding opportunity to relearn as an adult. And so I think just being aware that the choices we make have meaningful impact in our own longevity, whether that's just better sleep, eating right, and exercising, gives you more power and incentive to do those things. At the same time, companies like Altos Labs, there's a number of longevity science-based companies. We're living in the biological century. This was, Steve Jobs and Craig Ventnor. They all talked about this genomic revolution that's happening. What's really interesting about that and why it's happening now is because we needed the maturation of machine learning. So it's really now it's the combination of machine learning with this high sequencing platform technology that is really leading to an era of precision-based diagnostics and therapeutics. And being aware of that and being on the front of that is really exciting. Even though a lot of those companies are beat up and we're not supposed to talk about that. I will guarantee you that coming out of COVID, remember all this stuff's been sidelined for 2 years because that whole industry was trying to solve for COVID. Now that those labs are finally done dealing with COVID for the most part, knock on wood, praying, and can go back to solving for healthy longevity, trust me, we're going to be seeing a lot of new things in the marketplace that are really going to help us live better, healthier lives. And we think life insurance is the absolute right place to do that, because who's more motivated for you to stay alive, healthier, and longer? The life insurance company. So it's a perfect alignment of interest. And look, if that's a benefit of my insurance policy, I'm in. Like I want to buy it. So anyway.
Cool. Hey, Joanna, do you have any? We're running up on time here. Do you have any other questions for John?
No, it's exciting. We await your public debut, and we'll stay posted on what you're up to.
I'm always available. So whenever you want to talk, please. I'd love the conversation. Thank you.
Awesome. John, thanks again. Super interesting. And as echo Joanna, that excited to follow the progress here. So really thanks again.
Thanks, David. Thanks, Joanna. Take care.